So in this video, I'm going to share with you my first 365 days as a newly licensed life insurance agent. I'm going to walk you through my story. I'm going to share with you the ups, the downs, the failures, and really what it was like leaving a full-time position to start this life insurance business. I'm going to share with you how I had months selling $80,000 worth of premiums, how I had months where I was losing $20,000 a month, the failures, the lessons that I've learned, and ultimately share with you kind of what it's looked like as a life insurance agent. I remember when I first got started, I was like, what am I getting myself into? I see all these fancy YouTube videos. I see all these people supposedly making all this money. And I want to share with you a little bit more truth behind that to help you give you a better understanding of what it's looked like for me in my business. And ultimately, I'm going to share with you how I've been able to literally start out as a life insurance agent, not knowing how to make money, taking 15 days to ever sell my first policy, giving up everything, my story going into this unknown charted waters, and to now bringing it back 12 months later, building a six-figure per month life insurance agency, helping other people going through the pain. And I'm going to share with you all the BS, all the heartaches, all the things that I struggled with, all the pain that I wish I knew before I got started as a life insurance agent in this video. Enjoy. All right, guys, so I want to share with you what it was like as a life insurance agent. Now, we're going to scroll down here. Here's my first 365 days as a life insurance agent. When I first got started, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to be getting into. Come to find out, 2 weeks into the business, I'm entering into people's houses and selling life insurance directly to them. And this was a very bittersweet business for me, but at first I had no idea what I was doing. I want to share with you kind of my journey of how I even got here. So originally had a lawn care business, and before the life insurance game, I was, built a lawn care business that eventually sold to a tree company. And I eventually heard a podcast about what it's like selling life insurance and how it could change your life. And I just completely jumped in. I remember one of the most pivotal moments of this business when I was first getting started was a moment when I was on the side of the road. I was selling high ticket tree removal, and I remember leads were coming in. I used to pull over on the side of the road and call these leads. So I was supposed to be working and selling high ticket tree removal, but these leads were coming in. I was like, I have to call them. So I remember pulling off on the highway and selling a life insurance policy on the side of the road. And from that minute, I was hooked. It took me a long time. I was doing this part-time at first, but I wanted to give up that hard labor-intensive job. And I thought, hey, I can make all this money. All I got to do is work from home. And I went from doing part-time. My first 15 days in the business were part-time to go into the boss who I sold the tree business to my lawn care business, and said, hey, man, I just don't think I'm going to continue here. I'm going all in the life insurance business. And from there, it's been kind of a life-changing business for me. I had no idea what I was getting into. I didn't know what leads to buy, how to sell, what life insurance was, what products to get into. It was all a mess. And the company I got started with, there was no real leadership and no guidance, and everyone was doing everything else. I didn't know who to trust, and I failed a lot in the beginning. But I'm going to share with you here in my story some of the results that I've driven to, like why you should listen here and why you think I'm even credible of this time of yours. So the first thing is, I eventually did start to figure this business out. You can see here in August, I got started in the summer months of August, even a little bit before then, but in August of 2022, I did $87,000 of AP, which is annual premium. I want to talk about that a little bit here, but I was actually selling a lot of policies, 15 to 20 policies per week, and selling about 80,000. Those are one of the best months that I have. But I have another YouTube video which explains that I really didn't do as well as I thought of. I lost actually a lot of money, which I'm going to be warning you about here. And I learned a lot of lessons, which I'm going to be sharing with you that a lot of people I don't think are willing to share in this business. I'm going to be sharing with you here today. July was starting to catch on to things as well. July was like really just a kind of a breakthrough moment before I had that awesome month in August. But July, $56,000 of submitted premiums. Just figuring out the lead systems, figuring out the sales process, and really learning this business. I learned how to sell early on, but I didn't understand the concepts of this business. So I'm going to share with you kind of how it went. I literally gave up everything and literally started working every day. What my schedule looked like as a life insurance agent was buy leads and call leads as much as I can. In June, July, and August, what did life look like? That life was so hard. At the time, I had a girlfriend. I literally gave up everything. I spent 8 o'clock a.m. till 7 o'clock p.m. literally calling people. I literally had stacks and stacks of papers. I'd buy leads. Fortunately for me, I did have money to invest. I used to buy this, like standard CRM leads that they would have. that were garbage, I would try to sell them. And then I connected with different lead sources, trying to figure them out. But all I focused on in the first, 6 months of my business was how can I get good at selling? And this is really the only thing that kept me afloat. I was not making $56,000 a month. This was just premium submitted. I was spending $2,000 to $3,000 a week, spending upwards of $10,000 on leads, losing a lot of money, running bad business, and it was a crazy business. I was going on trips. I was, looking like I was doing well, but I was actually struggling here pretty well in July. And I want to share with you too how in October of 2022, where we're at here, I did 56,000. So in a whole year from now, I was doing a 56,000 a business, but my life did not look like this. I didn't know what I wanted in this business. I didn't know what this business was. I was telling people I was making all this money, but I really wasn't. And ultimately, I was just churning and burning. I was buying leads. I was selling deals. Business was falling off, and I was repeating and repeating and repeating. And I just felt like I couldn't get ahead. And I was like really stumped. And I was like, where am I going to be? But I want to share with you at the end of this video some tips, 7 tips that completely changed my business, that helped me actually create a story from pain and failure and chargebacks that I went through. I learned about chargebacks, of realizing that people that you sell have to be clients for, upwards of sometimes 9 to 12 months before you can actually get the full payment. I was, on late conversations trying to figure this business out, and everyone I went to, no one could give me a clear answer. So I feel like I had to solve all my problems myself. A lot of lonely days, a lot of struggles, a lot of worry, a lot of uneasiness, a lot of like, I don't know how I'm going to figure this out next month, but I eventually did. And it was kind of cool. Like, I'm going to share with you at the end here how you can turn this business into something fruitful. But for 3-4 months, I really struggled. It was like, what leads should I buy? What should my script be? I didn't have any of this figured out. And I just focused on learning. What my days were is going to the gym, working, and learning as much as I can. And I eventually started to change things around. And I started to realize, like, dang, this business can be fruitful. November was a pretty powerful month for me. I turned that into 26,000 of net income. I was like, wow, okay, I think I'm doing. So I was, my first month I struggled, doing this part-time. My second month I was like still struggling. I remember I made my first sale. I'm like, yo, my brother. I went to my brother's room. I knocked on his door. I'm like, dude, our life is going to be changed. I just made $2,000 on one phone call. So I called a lead that just came in. I changed my lead vendor to Smart Financial. I called this lead. I sold a his and hers policy. I'm like, Zach, our life is going to be changed forever. Because everyone around me told me, like, if you just sell a life insurance policy, like, that's your commission forever. Until I realized that both of their policies, they didn't have the money to make the payment, and they both, and her husband didn't have the money either. And I spent money to buy the lead, but they didn't make their first payment, which meant I had to pay the company or the insurance company back in forms of chargebacks. And eventually I went through the pain of figuring out how to make sure that people can actually stay on the books. And eventually I started to dial in my lead systems. And eventually I started to learn from people who actually knew what they were doing. And I looked up to some guy who was selling more than me, and I just studied him, and I listened to his calls, and I listened to how he sold, and I learned from him. And then eventually I started implementing, and things started to change. And eventually here in November, I realized that I need better leads. I need to start generating my own leads. And I share about it, how I started using Facebook early on to generate my leads. I started to, no longer buy crappy leads. And I had my script finally finalized. I had, my chargeback kind of maintained, and I had the money that was coming in to reinvesting in systems and processes. And eventually in November, I profited $26,000. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this business. And I was right about quitting. A little story here too for you is, right before this, I had one of the best months, and I was like, I just can't do this. I can't be dishing out any more money, spending all this money on leads. I just can't do it. So I reached out to Alex Hormozy, never shared this before. I was like, Alex, here are my sales numbers. I know you don't know who I am, but I'm from your small town in Baltimore. Can you just give me a chance? And sure enough, he saw my numbers. He saw my evidence. He saw that I knew how to sell. And he gave me an opportunity to apply and work for one of his companies. But I took the offer down because at that moment, I connected with my current business partner. It's crazy how God moves. And I had the option to work with Alex and become a sales, representative or sales leader at one of his companies, portfolio companies, or to build a life insurance business with a business partner named Micah, who I met online on YouTube, who I never met. And I was like, I don't really know this guy, but we're going to maybe start this business together. And luckily for me, kept me up. I was like, what am I going to do? I'm failing. I don't know if I want to continue to do this business. I'm looking, I can't do another month of this. And I remember sitting on my knees right at the edge of my bed, like, what am I going to do, God? Like, help me, guide me. And I was like, if I was 80 years old, what was the decision that I would actually value, and what would I would regret doing? I would regret going working for someone else again, or would I would have, been proud of myself for starting a business and failing? And I was like, I'm going to go ahead, take the leap. And then in this time, connected with Micah Metcalf, and business partner, guy I love, smarter than me, smarter than I'll ever be, but completely helped change my business. And then currently, I'm going to share with you some fun things that we're working on here to help make this business really, really fruitful. So all in all, turning point month, one decision away from working with Alex, or one decision away from starting my business. And eventually I just followed my gut and started to build a business. And I started to figure things out a bit here. You're going to see I started getting some more like actual real deposits here in 2023. The business started to shift a bit. I'm like, okay, I'm catching on. I'm making some money, like getting your real bank statements that people ask for. And then that month I also started to, with Micah's help, really dial in my lead system. With Micah's help, tracking systems were in place, dialing systems, fine tuning things. And in this month, I got 574 leads, and I turned that into $24,000 of 30-day cash, which is going to be $40,000 of profit after the 12 months is up. I'm like, okay, wow, what's possible here? And I eventually started to just build some traction throughout this process of my journey of the 365 days. I started to document my journey on YouTube. Here's one of the videos that I did of sharing you real numbers, bank statements, like here's deposits that are coming in, like American General, here's like real money. I was literally just living in Chipotle and working as much as I can and grinding and doing whatever I can, and eventually started sharing my story. My story in 12 months and 365 days captured 2.5 million people on YouTube. I grew my YouTube channel here to 100 and I guess where am I? 19. So I'm at 27,000 subscribers here today, and I made $25,000 on YouTube in 365 days. When I remember making these videos when no one knew who I was. I remember in this, like, just knowing that I'm going to figure this out. I remember when I left my last company because it was unethical. They were lying, and they were like, you're never going to figure this out. You're never going to go. Well, you're just quitting on yourself. You're a loser. Why are you going to leave our agency? I'm like, well, just wait. I'm going to figure this out. And I had this deep-rooted belief in myself to do the right thing for people, do the right thing, and wanted to disrupt and change this industry. And I actually changed where I was to now by just waking up every day and doing the work. And through this, I've documented my journey, the failures, the losses, been able to capture 27 almost 20,000 new subscribers or insurance agents just documenting this journey. I'm so grateful and so excited to see where this is going to go. And over 2 million views, 2.5 million views in the last 365 days by just doing the work, being vulnerable, and exposing myself. And in this journey of meeting my business partner, I've actually moved across the country. In 365 days, my life changed because I make one decision. The one decision that I made was to break up my current girlfriend I was with in a relationship for like 9 months, to leave my family, to leave my brother that I very, very dearly love, to leave my small hometown, and to literally come across the United States, drive 3 days from Maryland to Arizona to start a life insurance business with my business partner who I believe in, Micah Metcalf, who lives out here in Arizona, and get closer to him. I moved into a studio apartment that we're in here today, and no idea where God was going to move me, no idea where this business is going to take me. And it was so much better than I ever thought, all because I got licensed as a newly licensed life insurance agent and wanted to take the leap. Here's me in the desk that I had. I went to Walmart, an $89 desk, starting this business. And in February, we launched our business. No idea where we're going to go. No idea what it's going to look like. No idea. But it all looked like this in 12 months. February 20th, you can see it's me and Micah and one of the first ever hirees. We had no idea what we were doing. We had no idea about this mission. We didn't know what we were doing, but we've always told ourselves we are just going to figure this out. And that figure this out mentality was the first day I got my license on how I'm going to figure out how I'm going to pass the exam, or how I'm going to figure out how to, call people. How I'm going to figure out how to handle certain objections. How I'm going to figure out how to call leads. How I'm going to figure out how to, dial the phone. All those small things that you make as a new life insurance agent is all about being intuitive, making decisions, figuring things out, and learning. And a ton of sacrifices. Micah has a family. That he spends so much more time on this business with his family. I left my family. I knew no one here except Micah. I moved to a whole new city. I gave up all the bad habits, from drinking, partying, to doing the things that were holding me back in my business, to build this business, to sacrifice everything, to going all in with my finances in this business to make this thing work. And this is where we're at here today. We are now built a 6-figure per month life insurance agency. And this is not all profit. This is if our agents watch this, we have 11 agents right now. I'm not making $100,000 per month. Our business is, but our agents are making more money right now. And this is something I never shared with my agents. Our agents right now make more money than me as the CEO, as the owner, because I pay them more than I pay myself. Now, one day, 12, 24, 36 months, I don't think it's going to be that way, but we've been able to build a 6-figure per month agency from starting as a newly life insurance agent. You can see some of our best agents are selling 3 policies per day. New agents are selling life insurance. New agents who have never failed, who have failed in this industry, have partnered with us and are making more money. And our mission, what my life looks like in the last 365 days as a newly life and life insurance, is I have now gone from failure to no idea what I'm doing, to no idea what this industry is going to bring, to understanding that this is one of the most incredible industries that you can make money in if you have a few things. And this is my story. And I'm on a mission to change the industry. And now at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you 7 tips that I wish I knew, really brief tips that I wish I knew before I got started selling life insurance, that I wish someone would have told me before I really began. Number 1 is find someone that you can trust. I think the biggest thing in this industry is you have no idea who to trust. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on courses to learn from people who've just screwed me over. I've tried to take advice from people who I thought knew what they were doing, but were just going to dig their hands in my pockets and just let me fail in front of their eyes. And they said they had my back, but really didn't. They just wanted to recruit me. They just wanted to, take my money, and I was screwed over a lot of times. Find someone that you can truly trust and test them. Test them as much as you can. If they break their trust, they're not trustworthy. Second thing is find someone who sells better than you, or find someone who actually can teach you how to sell. Find someone who knows how to sell and learn from them. I found some guy in my current first industry, and he knew how to sell better than me. And I listened to his sales calls. I asked him questions. I studied his sales calls. I listened in. I was on the live dials. I did anything I could to learn from someone who was better from me, because I knew I could be better than them, but I need to know the frameworks, the understandings of how do I actually get started first so then I can catch up. And I wanted to work really hard. I wanted to learn from them. Third thing is think in years, not months. In this industry, if you think this is a get rich quick scheme, which I did when I first got started, disregard that mindset. Think about what you can do in a year rather than 2 months. And each month I would track my growth in the beginning. I'm not making money, I could have quit. Or, I'm doing all the work. I didn't make any money. I could have quit. But I was like, I'm going to build something. If I don't quit, then I can't fail. And that's the mindset that I built in this business. Now, the fourth thing I want to share with you is do more work. I mean, what have got me to this position is do more work, make more sacrifices, quote unquote. It's like, when I got started as a life insurance agent, I literally just said not stop working. I worked in the morning. I worked on Saturdays. I worked on Sundays, because the only thing that kept me afloat was learning how to sell. And that is the only thing that I ever wanted to do. And the only thing that kept me here to make this story today is that I learned how to sell, and I worked really hard. I knew if I had a lead, a phone number, and I just had time and I was healthy, I could make sales. So just work harder than you think you are working. For me, I don't have a family. I don't have many friends. I just work. Fifth thing I want to share with you is do telesales. I pondered this for the longest time, and I want you guys to really write this down. I was going when I was not selling as much as I wanted to, where I was getting all these chargebacks, where I was failing a ton. I was like, it's probably because I'm just doing it over the phone. I need to go to people's houses. So I'd set appointments. I'd go to their house, and guess what? They'd still give me chargebacks. So no matter if you're in home or in, over the phone, you're going to run into the same problems. But ultimately, I've written all my business in the last 8 months all over the phone, and I would never do it another way, because do it over the phone, save you gas, money, expenses. People rather buy life insurance over the phone. Sixth thing is find one product and make it. At first, I was like, am I going to sell IULs? Am I going to sell final expense? Am I going to sell term insurance? Am I going to market for term? And I was so distracted. I was like, oh, maybe I'll run some term ads, or maybe I'll figure out some IUL ads, or maybe I'll figure out how to, cold call and knock on doors for final expense, or get leads for final expense. I was so flustered. And the greatest advice I'd give to you is just find one product that you believe in, find one way to market it, and really just do everything you can to master that. You can make $1 million a month in final expense. You can make $1 million a month in term. You can make $1 million per month in IULs. Just do what's best for people, serve people, and have a product that you believe in. It'll help you so much, and you'll be less distracted, and you can actually make more money. I never like tried to figure out Medicare and life insurance. It was only one and only one only, and that was final expense. Last thing is before you start, get data. Before you join an agency, before you join a team, get some data. Like who on their team are they actually making money? Are they actually successful agents? What does their leads look like? If you're jumping in the industry and you can't go to your leader right now and be like, hey, can I see your top agent? Can I speak to them before I start? Can I actually see if they're making money? Can I see what they're doing? And like, they're like, no, then that's an issue. If I would have had that piece of advice, I would have never started probably at first, because the person who I was taking advice from eventually got caught into a fraud situation and was learning from that person. So it's just like, be mindful of the data. You see the numbers, you see this, it looks so amazing. It's like this big red dress that you want to jump in, make all this money, but you don't actually know that real numbers. You don't actually know the things behind the story. It's the Instagram story that you're seeing rather than what happens at night when they turn off their phone. It's like all we're seeing is highlights and highlights and highlights, but what's actually the truth? And the truth is what you want to focus on. Disregard the fancy stuff, the yachts, the BS stuff that's out there. It's probably not real. And that would have really, really helped me. But I love you guys. That was my story, my first year really as a life insurance agency, from growing from broke to figuring this out and building a 6-figure per month agency. And I love you guys. Thank you for letting me share my story. I hope it's helped give you some context. And if you need anything, please let me know. Take care. Cheers.